Hey everyone, Phil Scott here, and welcome back to the Everyday Wallet. Today we're going to be talking about the very exciting topic of budgeting. I know, everybody loves this topic. No, not really. We don't love the idea of budgeting, but it's an important part of personal finance, and so it's something that we need to cover. I'm going to try and make this as painless as possible, so please hang in there. We're going to talk about some of the basics of budgeting, some of the reasons to budget. And at the end of the video, I'm even going to share how my wife and I, on an annual income of $37,000, were able to budget so that we could buy our first home. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of future videos, and we'll go ahead and get started. Budgeting. Some people like it, but most of us really don't. It's a topic that we would rather stay away from. We don't like the idea of budget because we feel that it's restricting. We feel that it keeps us from spending our money the way that we want to spend our money. What we really need to do is change the way that we look at budgeting. A budget is not there to restrict your spending. It's there to help you meet your financial goals and save for the future. And if you set your budget up properly, at a quick glance, you'll be able to see whether or not you're on track to meet your financial goals and whether or not you're spending according to the parameters that you've established for your own budget. First thing to consider when setting your own budget is it's a personal budget. It's not a business budget. Business budgets have a lot of line items, a lot of details, and a lot of information and data that you need to sort through, and they can be quite confusing depending on the size of the business. Your personal budget is there to help you meet your financial goals and pay your bills and not overspend. So keeping it simple is going to be your best bet. Another thing to consider when setting a budget is to outline your savings goals. You may be trying to save for a car or a vacation or a new computer or a variety of other things. And you may be trying to save for multiple things at one time. It might be good to have different line items for different savings goals. In those line items, you would have your end amount that you're trying to save for and what you're trying to save for. So if you're trying to buy a new computer for $1,000, you would have a savings line item of new computer $1,000, and you're putting money away every month to meet that goal. And depending on how you set that goal up, you might be trying to meet that sooner or later, and you may have to adjust accordingly. Another thing to consider when setting up your own personal budget is to automate your savings. You can have money automatically transfer on a regular basis, either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, from your checking to your savings account. Or you can utilize different services. I like to utilize the Acorns platform. With that, I put $20 a week into my Acorns account, and then it's automatically invested for me. Check the description of this video for a link to Acorn so you can get a free $5 when you open up your account. I'll have another video dedicated to the different ways that you can save your money in the future. Another basic principle for budgeting is stick to your budget. It's easy to get sidetracked, it's easy to focus on different things, and it's easy not to track your spending. But if your budget doesn't allow for something, you shouldn't be spending your money on it. The number one reason why budgets fail is people don't stick to their budgets. If you set a budget up and you follow your budget, you're going to succeed at following your budget. Another good idea when setting up a personal budget is to utilize categories such as housing, transportation, savings, giving, everyday living expenses, communications. Those are just some of the different categories that you could use. There are many apps out there to help you create your own personal budget. I'm not even going to go into them. Just go to the App Store, you can type in budget, and you will get a ton of apps out there. You can use spreadsheet templates that come with programs like Excel or Numbers. Plenty of options out there. Remember, the key to a personal budget is to keep it simple. All right, so let's walk through a sample budget. I'm going to show you what some of my monthly expenses actually are and roughly close to what my income is and how I am able to stay under budget so I can actually set money aside for savings and for giving. The first category of my budget is housing expenses. These things are my mortgage, utilities, things that are related to my actual housing. My monthly mortgage payment is $850 a month. I'm not kidding. $850 a month for my mortgage. It's a 3-bedroom house, 2-bath on half an acre in a subdivision. More on buying a house smart in another video, so check back for that one later. But yeah, $850 a month for a mortgage is a great value. The next item on my budget is our electric bill. That's $260 a month. You might be saying, holy cow, $260 a month. That's a lot of money. Well, yeah, it is, and it's probably higher than what you're paying for your electric bill. But we have a medically complicated child who has some medical devices that need to be on 24/7, and so that's raising the cost of our electric bill quite a bit on a monthly basis. The next item I have in the housing category is our water bill, and our water bill is $60 a month. The last item I have in the housing category is our food expenses. This covers our groceries. This covers eating out or grabbing a quick snack on the road, whatever it may be. And that's roughly $600 a month for a family of 6. The next category I have in my budget is a category for communication. Now, the only thing I have under communication is the cell phone bill. That's $265 a month. Now, you might be saying that's a lot for a cell phone bill. Well, there's actually 4 lines that's shared by 4 adults on that. And we split the cost with 2 other people who are on the account as well. And they pitch in their $100 for the account. And it has the cost of the new phones that we get in that bill. The next category might be different for you. It's transportation. Where we live, it makes sense to have a vehicle or 2 based off of how far it is to get to a store or the nearest shopping center. Depending on where we need to go, it could be anywhere from $15 to $25 to utilize a ride-sharing service. That's just not reasonable. If we were to do $15 to $25 every 2 to 3 days, that's 2 to 3 times a week, $15 to $25, that's one way. That's not round trip, that's just one way. That's $30 to $50 for a trip to town. So we have a car payment. We bought a 2018 Toyota Camry, brand new. Now there's going to be a bunch of different views on whether or not you should buy brand new vehicles. We had our reasons for that. And again, another video, we'll talk about the strategy of buying a car, whether or not you should buy new or used and what fits for you. So for us at the time, buying new made sense. Our car payment is $455 a month. We have just about 2 years left on that payment. And because we have 2 vehicles, we have to have auto insurance, and that's $97 a month. And when you have vehicles, you got to pay for gas and other miscellaneous expenses. I'm estimating about $120. Now, with both of our vehicles, we have the care plan set up through the dealership, so we don't have to pay for oil changes or any routine maintenance on those vehicles. We still need to set money aside for a repair that we need to pay out of pocket for. I'm estimating about $120 a month for gas and other miscellaneous vehicle expenses. The next category in my budget is miscellaneous debt. And there's 2 things in this category. First is medical expenses. We have a medical bill that's $166 a month, and we have about 2 months left on that. The next item is student loans. I pay about $130 a month for my student loan bill. The last category is miscellaneous expenses. And this is where I have things such as our internet or personal care and entertainment. For our internet bill, that's $95 a month. Personal care, that's where you would use the money to get a new shirt or new shoes or a haircut, whatever it may be, $50 a month. Now that's kind of on the low end, especially for a family of 6. But if we're setting aside $50 every month and we don't use that from one month to the next, and we kind of roll that over to the next month. And then the last item is entertainment. And again, this is kind of on the low end here, but it's $50 a month. And the reason why it's only $50 is because in there we have things such as our video streaming services that we utilize. And you can really save a lot of money by watching movies online. We got a free 1-year subscription to Disney Plus with Verizon. And the thing about these miscellaneous expenses, these are things that could be done away with to free up money if our budget were to ever get tighter. So we could easily say, well, I could just forego going out and getting my hair cut, and I could let my wife cut my hair. Or instead of going out and buying a new shirt, I could go to Goodwill and get something from Goodwill. And if I really had to, I mean, I could even sell our car and eliminate that $455 a month for our car payment so that we could have something that costs less and still just as good of a vehicle. And even though I'm covering it last, it doesn't mean it's any less important than housing. And that's the category for savings and giving. See, I personally believe it's important to save for the future, and it's also important to give to others. This is where you can zero out your budget. It's important to have a balanced budget that what you have coming in matches what you have going out. What you have coming in for your income will be stable from month to month on average. And your expenses will be stable from month to month on average as well. Then you know what your monthly income is, your monthly expenses are, and then you can say, okay, the difference is this much, and I'm going to put a portion of that to savings and a portion of that to giving. You may have a charity of choice that you'd like to give to, that you want to support. Great, find that charity. You might have a religious organization that you want to support. Great, support that religious organization. But I believe it's important for each and every one of us to give back to the community that we're in so that our communities can prosper. So this is just a simple budget to set spending goals. This is not a budget that's going to track all of your expenses and help you figure out exactly where you're at with meeting your goals. What I'm showing you here today is just a simple spending goal budget. It helps you say, this is how much I have coming in, and this is how much I have going out. This is what I'm saving. This is what I'm giving. That's it. There are a ton of apps out there that can help you track what you have coming in and what you have going out. You can set the categories of housing and miscellaneous expenses and communications and transportation, all those things, subcategories under there. Have your goals, have your limits to what those are, when those payments are going to go out, and tracks your spending. There's some that even link to your account so it can kind of help you track it easier. Do the research, go on the App Store, type in budget. There's a ton of apps out there. Or like I said, you can use a spreadsheet on Excel or numbers, create something simple. Doesn't take a whole lot of work or effort. You can even do an internet search for budget templates. There's a ton of them free out there. Now, I say all that to say this. I don't use a budget. It's important for us to set budgets. It's important for us to use budgets. It's important for us to know where we're spending our money. But as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to share with you how my wife and I were able to budget $37,000 a year and buy our first house. So in our second year of marriage, we had to find a new place to live. And she was managing a women's fitness facility making about $20,000 a year, and I was working at Walmart making about $17,000 a year, and total combined income of $37,000. Not a lot of money. We had to find a new place to live, and so we sat down and we looked at what our income was and what our expenses were and what we could afford for housing. We looked at the rental rates for the area, and we could not really afford to rent a house at the time. So our only option was to buy. We set our budget, we figured out our income, our expenses, and at the end of the day, we realized that if we could not afford it, we did not buy it. And if we did not need it, we did not buy it. So we went through the exercise of setting everything out on paper and looked at it, and we said, we're just going to keep this as simple as possible. Before we bought anything, we asked, do we need this? If we needed it, then we asked, can we get it for less money? And if we could get it for less money, then we would go that route. If we didn't need it, then we wouldn't get it. If we couldn't get it for less money, then we got it right then and there. By utilizing this spending practice, we were able to save enough money for a down payment and afford a house. Now, we were able to buy at a really ideal time for buying. The price of our house was an incredible deal that couldn't be passed up. But the mindset that we had still applies to us today. Whenever we're thinking about buying anything, we write out, why are we trying to get this? Is this a need? If it's a need, can we get this cheaper? If we can get it cheaper, is it really the better deal in the long run? So our buying process has continued to be the same as it was when we were making only $37,000 a year. Now, I'm not saying For you, get rid of your budget and don't do it. That's what worked for us. We still sit down from time to time on a regular basis and we evaluate our income versus our expenses. We still make sure that we are staying within our spending parameters overall. And so it is important for everybody to figure out their budgeting process for themselves. If you need to have something very regimented, this is what my income is, this is what my expenses are, and track your expenses, do that. Find something that works for you. If you need to be even more rigid than that, like we were, and say, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to pay the electric bill, I have to pay the water bill, I have to pay the cell phone bill, I have to pay the car payment, the auto insurance, I have to pay off my debt, and anything beyond that, I'm not spending money on unless I have to have it. And that's a very strict budget. That eliminated the entertainment fund. That eliminated the personal care fund. That eliminated a lot of stuff. But in the end, it created spending habits that enabled us to buy that house with a very small income. So there you have it. The basics of budgeting, the benefits of budgeting, and even a unique approach to budgeting. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of upcoming videos. Comment below of different topics that you find interesting about personal finances, or anything about this video that you'd like to comment on. I look forward to hearing from you and see you next time. In the meantime, keep on saving to grow your everyday wallet just a little fatter.